What's up, everyone? I'm here. We got a great guest. It's my boy Fox Maxwell. He was a D3 National Qualifier at Bridgewater State University and now finds himself still with his alma mater, coaching there. How we doing, Fox?
I'm doing great. Fired up to be on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to have you on, Great to talk to you.
Yeah, man, anytime.
Of course, bro. So, you and I have had our conversations in the past about just wrestling and stuff, but let's go way back to the beginning. How old were you when you first started wrestling? Was it your first sport?
No, it was not my first sport. I actually played baseball and football growing up. I had it's funny, I had a little stint in youth wrestling, but it was like 2 weeks. So my dad wrestled in high school. I was in my fourth grade, decided to give it a try. Kind of didn't like it, at the time, so I stopped. And then just played football and baseball all the way through till high school. And that was going to be my plan, was to play football and baseball. And my freshman year of high school, I was playing football. I happened to stay after one day to watch a workout. Get a workout in the weight room. I happened to see a youth wrestling clinic going on. And there's a guy who's, running the clinic, and he was like, hey, do you want to come try wrestling? So I tried wrestling for 2 or 3 days doing youth, wrestling with the youth kids. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So I ended up going out with the wrestling team 2 weeks later, and been in the sport ever since.
So you said you did a 2-week stint when you were really little?
Yeah.
How old were you then?
Fourth grade, so 9 or 10.
Was that with an established club that's around now, or was it just with a town's?
Just the town of Wilmington Wrestling. I think I only did one tournament, and I forget what the tournament was. I forget if it was Big Red or it was some big tournament. It was the only one I went to. It was happened to be one of the toughest or whatever. So went 0-4 that day.
Gosh.
That was that.
Yeah.
So not an impressive youth career, but
Yeah. It's not all about youth,
Yeah.
That's 10% of the journey in reality.
Right. I think that's what's so awesome with the sport is people can come in whenever they and get good. They just have to put the work in, put the work in, and go from there.
Yeah, we'll touch on it, obviously more later. But you're a prime example. Basically started your freshman year. And, as we already mentioned, and we're going to talk about later, D3 National Qualifier by the end of college. So, it's not like baseball or football where you have to, be doing it your whole life to be good. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I was JV my freshman year of high school. Was a backup's backup. But after that season, I kind of cut the bug.
Mm-hmm.
Put all the work in the off season. The next year, ended up taking 7th in states. Beat the kid who took 3rd twice in the regular season. The year after that, took 3rd. And the year after that, took 2nd. So, one thing I am proud of is that in high school and college, I always got better each year. I never had a year where, for example, I took 7th and then the next year I took 8th. I always got better in high school and college. And I think that's just a testament to, to the Bridgewater Wrestling program. We have a pretty good history of having guys come in and developing them very well past what, other people might think is, their max. And
when was it that Bridgewater reached out to you? Was it during your senior season, the off season before, or was it kind of a last minute, shit, I got to pick a school?
So it's funny you say that. So when I wrapped up wrestling in high school, I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to community college for a year and a half. So I did that, worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and tried to figure out what I wanted to do while still wrestling and coaching. And I think having that perspective of, being on the grind, like I said, I was going to community college, I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I was also training and coaching. It made me it forged that fire to want to get into college wrestling and wrestle. And I was looking around, of what school to go to, and more and more, I kind of like Bridgewater, from a price standpoint, from the fact that I felt like I could go there and truly develop into a high level college wrestler. So I looked at a couple other schools, but at the end of the day, it kind of made the most sense.
Mm-hmm. And so when you first stepped into the Bridgewater, wrestling room, you decided on them your first day of practice, how did it feel kind of, being, since you said you were doing community college, you weren't part of a school team, how did it feel kind of getting that sense of team back?
It was huge. So it's funny, I transferred in second semester, which is pretty rare, of the wrestling season. So first semester, I was actually coaching with Joel Mode and Nick Avery at Metro West and Lincoln Sudbury at the time, just helping them out. So I was going to community college in the morning, working at Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, and then, I was wrestling with them, at Lincoln Sudbury. So, I would show up, wrestle with the kids, and then me and Nick would say after about half hour, 45 minutes, we wrestle each other and lift. And so even though I wasn't like wrestling with a team, I was in fairly decent shape at the time. So I felt like it was a relatively smooth transition, but it was still definitely an adjustment going from not wrestling to all of a sudden in the midst of a college wrestling season.
Yeah. Like you went from coaching where you could kind of, be a little laissez-faire to, you're athlete again.
Yeah. It was crazy, but it was pretty cool at the same time. Came in second semester, ended up getting the spot at regionals, which was pretty cool.
And you mentioned, you were already coaching at that time right after high school. So when did you kind of really figure out that, like, okay, I want to help the kids, I want to help the youth, I want to coach, I want to help the town, the program, whatever?
So I think I kind of always deep down want to be a coach, I guess. But while I was at community college, Joel and Nick, kind of reached out to me, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what have you been up to? And they kind of, were like, hey, it started off kind of like, hey, you want to come work out with our guys at Metro? Come work out. And so that, that summer I came and worked out with them. And then towards the end of the season, they're like, what are you going to do for winter? I'm like, I don't have any real plans. And they were like, why don't you come help us out a little bit at LS? So I came and helped out. And then, when it was time for me to move on to Bridgewater, I was able to move on. But it was, I recommend any college athlete to, if they can, coach in the off season, wherever they can, because it's definitely going to make you a better coach, but also, a better wrestler at the same time too.
Mm-hmm. So, swinging back to college now, you mentioned you were, no, that was high school. You said you were backups.
Yeah.
Backup. College, you said you made regionals, right? Your freshman year? Yeah.
So my freshman year, I was 3-5. Not that impressive, but made the regional tournament. It's kind of funny. I lost to someone when I was coaching at LS with Nick and Joel. I lost to a guy in an open tournament, and then 2 months later, when I was in the Bridgewater team, I reached out to beating. So, it's pretty cool to see like how quick I was developing, and little things like that really motivate me.
Kind of shows maybe you just needed that consistent, training, that grind where you're training for something, instead of like in tournaments where you kind of just can go decide whenever,
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So, and then your junior year though, that was the real breakout season for you, right?
Yeah. It was kind of crazy. So my sophomore year, I took 8th in the region, placed. Go to my junior year, I worked, really hard that off season.
You had a little taste of the podium,
Yeah, a little taste.
Wanted more though.
And then I think it was like the middle of July, I get a text from Coach Kamisa, and he was like, hey, just so you know, we have this kid coming in, Edwin Morales, he's pretty good. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, Edwin came in the room, and we were partners, and, having someone like that in the room who pushed me every day, was definitely one of the reasons why I was able to, to make that jump from 8th to 4th.
Mm-hmm. And what year was that? That was 2022 or 2021?
So that was 2019 going into 2020.
Gotcha. So, after you had that, and it's top three from Northeast, right? So you just barely missed
Yeah.
out on qualifying, right?
So what's up?
So you just barely missed out on qualifying, right? By placing fourth?
Yeah. It was a crazy year. It's kind of a pretty up and down year. I had some good wins, had some bad losses. Even though I placed the year before, I went in unseeded, drew into the 2 seed, who was at one point ranked number 2 in the country. Lost to him, I think it was like 5-1. And then on the backside, had to wrestle a kid. I think at the time I was like 1-2 against another returning regional placer. Ended up beating him by banana split, believe it or not.
Nice.
Yeah. Had a couple more wins, and then found myself in the Conci semis against the 2 seed, who was, like I said, he was returning All-American regional champ. And I ended up beating him, and then going on to wrestle 3rd and 4th. Fortunately, that match didn't go my way, but like you said, it was kind of like an aha moment. Like, wow, I could really, I just beat a kid who was ranked as high as number 2 in the country, returning All-American. Like, I could really do this if I put my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just fuel to the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then, what did you do that off season after you were just so determined? You realized you could do it if you put your mind to it. What did you do? How did you put your mind to it?
So it was a crazy time, because I didn't qualify. Edwin qualifies. He goes national tournament. COVID happens. They cancel everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wild time. I remember.
Where were you when you got the news that just everything was done?
I forget where I exactly was, but it was crazy. I'll never forget, like, from like April to like June, we were in like lockdown. Like working out every single day. Like the gyms were shut down. I still found a way, during the lockdown, I had a rule. Either I had 2 friends who had home gyms left. So it was, I go to their gym, and any day during the lockdown, I didn't go to the gym, I had to run 5 miles.
Oof. So
yeah, it was like a 3-month stretch of just working out every day. It was like that until like everything started opening back up. It was, COVID was a crazy time. Like, gyms were closed. Obviously, wrestling programs were closed. So stuff, started slowly opening back up. But yeah, for that short time, it was lifting or running until, we were able to get back on the mats.
Mm-hmm. And then, so after that off season, you finally have your true senior year now. And also, did you think you weren't going to get another year of eligibility?
Yeah. So that summer, stuff was like still kind of open, still kind of not. What would have been, my senior year, we come back to campus. We're allowed like non-contact practices for like 2 weeks, and then we get the call that the season's canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was sad, but then I started thinking like, in wrestling, a lot of times, it teaches you like really control what you control. And that was one of those situations like, okay, this season's over, but I know I'm going to have, COVID eligibility next year. Like, let's just start working towards next year. So, that's what I did.
And what were the goals since, your prior full season, you were that close to making the national tournament?
The goal was to be an All-American. I knew that I could get to that level, but I knew, what type of work it took. But, as like my written goal or whatever, it was that.
Qualify?
No, be an All-American.
Oh, okay. So, it's, how do you feel, your senior season went leading up to, regionals and everything? Like what was your mindset going into regionals, basically? Were you pumped where you were?
So it was a wild year. So I guess I'll start, further. They canceled the season of 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I was training through that. I decided to try to find whatever tournament I could get to. you know.
Yeah.
Luckily, USA Wrestling was having their folk style national tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up flying out there, wrestling that.
Where was that exactly?
That was in Iowa.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, trooping it to the Midwest.
Yeah.
What you got to do to get the comp?
What's up?
You do what you got to do to get the competition, though, and stay.
Yeah, especially at that time. It was crazy. I had to find someone to corner me because, obviously, like, the coaches couldn't come corner us. So luckily, my longtime buddy, Brandon Williams, I called him up like 3 weeks before. I'm like, dude, I'm going to this tournament in Iowa. Like, it's supposed to be a national tournament. Can you come coach me? And he was like, yeah. So we headed out there, went out there. In the semis, ran into a kid who was a 3-time NCAA qualifier. Ended up beating him. In the finals, I had a kid from UNI, who was Iowa State champ, 2-time finalist. Ended up beating him, and it was a pretty cool tournament, pretty cool moment.
Dude, if I remember correctly, that finals match was like 7-5, or I saw it was pretty close. So
yeah, it was a crazy match because he went out. First 10 seconds, he threw me like a flat drop, and it probably, if it was in bounds, would have been back points, but like we landed out of bounds. And then I think the next sequence, I ended up banana splitting.
Nice.
To his back. So yeah, it was funny. Both the cities in the finals, I hit banana splits.
Nice. And you know, kind of before you even stepped on the mat for your first match there. Did you feel like you had something to prove coming from Massachusetts, going all the way to Iowa, representing your state and yourself and your state, the region?
I was looking to get matches, but anytime you step on the mat, you're trying to prove something, whether, prove a point. I say it all the time, when, we have a wrestler on our team who's wrestling another tough opponent. I say it all the time, don't just win, prove a point to people that, that you're, as good as you think you are.
Mm-hmm. And so, what were the emotions after winning the folk style nationals?
It was kind of crazy. My phone, I think I got like 500 text messages. It was insane how many people reached out to me. But it just goes to show, like, whatever it is, it takes a village. Wrestling's an individual sport with a team aspect, but it takes a village. You need partners, you need coaches, you need loved ones, to help you succeed.
And from that point, so you won. When was the tournament again?
I think it was like April.
April, okay. Oh yeah, it was pretty. I think it just happened a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
But so from that point till the school season started up again. Was there any point at all where you felt like you slowed down because you felt like you were content, or are you not that type of person where you're always hungry?
I'm always hungry, and it's funny you say that because I won that, and then they had like I think they called it like 3D nationals. Mm-hmm. So I went to that 2 weeks after, and I was the 3rd seed. I didn't end up placing. So it was like an extreme high to an immediate low. And after not placing at that, I remember deciding, I thought at the time that I was too big for 65 and I needed to move up. So I was like, all right, this whole off season, I'm going to dedicate myself to getting as big as possible to try to move up to 74. So that's why I spent my whole off season was wrestling as much as possible and then lifting to get up to 174. So I went into my senior year ready to go at 170.
Nice. So, and now back at your senior year again. So how did you feel, before your first match of the season? Were you nervous at all? Were you jittery? Were you excited? Final year, want to leave your mark, prove your point?
Yeah, I definitely felt that. It's funny. I'll probably say the kid I wrestled the most in college was a kid from Southern Maine who we had a back and forth rivalry. And I think at that time it was 2-2. So it's kind of a rubber match. My first match of senior year, and thinking it was going to be, I knew it was going to be a battle. And no disrespect to him, but like when I wrestled him my first match of the senior year, that's when I kind of had a feeling like he didn't feel as strong as he felt last year. You know, like I said, no disrespect to him, but I just, you know, it was more of like the work that I put in that off season.
Yeah, like you felt different, you know. Almost.
Yeah. That's a better way to put it. I felt different, and so I ended up winning there, and then beat him again the week after.
Nice.
And so, but it was another, you know, up and down season of, you know, good wins and then tough losses. I think I had like 4 or 5 losses that were a point or two to, you know, guys ranked top 15 in the country at 174. So I knew I was right there, the top guys at 74. But I ended up deciding to, right before regionals dropped, to back down to 165, which was a pretty hard cut. And again, it was a crazy time because I dropped down to 165 for regionals, and it was a 2-time placer going into the tournament. I had the second highest returning paper in the tournament, and I think they seeded me like 8th. You know, after I took 4th in the weight the year before, so that was more motivation to go out and try to do as best as I can.
A 2-time placer, right, at regionals at that point, and you get seeded.
Yeah, it was. I will never forget.
Coach you get seeded what you got 2 years, like 3 years prior at that point. That's crazy.
Yeah. Their argument was that I was 0-0 at the weight. Was the argument they used.
I mean, I guess, but 2-time placer, dude.
Yeah. I never forget Coach Poulin and Coach Kamisa coming back after the seating meeting, because they do the seating meeting on Friday night and wrestle Saturday. And they were like, dude, no one, like, they're like, you got disrespected. Like, and they knew that's how, you know, my brain works and how to motivate me. They're like, no one respects you, even though like all the work you put in. So it was just more fuel to the fire to go out there and qualify.
And, you know, you did exactly that. Why don't you tell me can you sum up the Northeast Regional, your senior year in general?
Yeah, you know, it was, you know, first match, came out, you know, won. Second match, I ended up tearing my meniscus. Kid shot in, get a good shot. As soon as his knee locked up, and he ended up beating me. And then I kind of had a decision making at that point. You know, like I could feel sorry for myself, you know, and just go out, you know, have maybe forfeit out or wrestle back with, you know, and be down on myself, or I could, you know, push through and do what I came out here to do. So that's what I did. And then ended up clawing my way to 3rd and 4th again. And, you know, like I said, I knew the pain of 4th. So I knew, like, under no circumstances that was going to happen again.
Nice. Yeah, dude, that, I imagine, you know, placing 4th, especially with that, what's the word? I don't know, the impact of that match with just qualifying for nationals on the line. I imagine, you know, being a win away twice in a row would not be too fun.
Yeah, the best way I try to break it down to the guys in the Bridgewater team is that 3rd and 4th match. Like, there's literally a ticket to nationals on that match. You have to go out and physically take it away from someone. Because if no one's going to give you that match, you have to go out and take it from someone. Yep.
And then, so, you know, you went out, you grabbed your ticket, took it away. How did it feel to have it in your hand, you know?
It was a pretty cool moment, not gonna lie. It was a great moment. Just from, like I said, you know, I was 3 and 5 as a freshman, and to slowly build. If you asked me as a freshman if I was going to get there, I probably would have said no. But, you know, it was the support staff of, you know, the coaching staff, Coach Kamisa, Coach Poulin, each year, like putting the time in to develop me, not only as a wrestler, but, you know, as a man.
And, you know, just looking back at your college career in general, you know, we could touch on nationals real quick. So how did it feel to you know, get there, wrestle on the biggest stage in D3, you know, in the country, you know, for the sport, basically?
It was a pretty cool moment, not gonna lie. You know, it's crazy to think, if you look at it, you know, there's I think it's like between 150 and 125 Division III institutions that have wrestling, and only 18 guys get to go. Where in Division I, there's a little over 70 teams. And, there's like 32 guys get to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's truly the best of Division III. So it was definitely a great experience.
Gotcha, dude. And so summing up your career at Bridgewater, you as an athlete, you left the school as one of the more decorated wrestlers there of all time. 10th all time in Bridgewater State University wins with 85, and you have the school near fall record, single season and career record. Earning 300 throughout your whole career there. So my question is, bro, how'd you get all those back points?
Well, it's two answers. One is having someone like Coach Kamisa who has, the top expertise. You could go back and ask any coach in the region who was around when he wrestled. He was probably one of the best top wrestlers ever wrestled in the Newark region. Newark conference. And that's something he preaches. He preaches, we're going to make our mark on top. We're going to send message on top. And I kind of bought into that. And then two is having a training partner who, in my opinion, is one of the best stand-ups ever. That's Evan Morales. The kid has to this day the quickest stand-up I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to hold him down in college, obviously made me better on top.
Gotcha. So, and then obviously too, how would you sum up your career in general, Bridgewater State? Like I just said, a very decorated career.
Yeah, it was decorated. I had a great time. I learned a lot. I obviously, like I said, I didn't achieve what I wanted to, but I got better every year. And I think that's the staple of our program is we get better every single year.
Mm-hmm. So, fresh out of college after graduation, was coaching on your mind, or did you have any other plans?
Yeah. I kind of always knew, I wanted to coach in some capacity. I first was in college. I thought, just graduate, coach at a high school. But slowly as time went on, me and Coach Kamisa, Coach Poulin, started talking about like the possibility of me joining the staff once I graduated. Mm-hmm. Kind of as I went on throughout college, like we kind of talked about it a little more until finally, I graduated and were able to make that happen, which has been awesome.
Did you like drop any little hints or anything? Be like, oh, you'd be a great coach. Like
yeah. It was a couple times. You would Coach Kamisa would drop a hint or two, stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. So, what has been the easiest part of transitioning from athlete to coach, and what has been the hardest part?
The easiest part, I guess. You don't have to cut away. That's the easiest part. The hospitality rooms are sweet. But no, I guess the hardest part probably, is just, as any young coach, you struggle with buy-in, at the start, but luckily, I've been able to have a group of athletes, in both years that have bought in, so I'm extremely grateful for that.
Awesome. And what were some of the emotions that first year when the kids who were just your teammates, you're now Coach Fox to them?
Yeah, it's definitely, it was like a little bit of an adjustment period, but like I said, I have fantastic student athletes who were able to buy in. Kind of make the transition, seamless.
Awesome. And so do you have like a different view of the room now as a coach rather than an athlete? Like, does it feel different in the room?
Yeah, it's about perspective. When you're practicing, you're focused on want. Sometimes, if it's you and your drill partner, you're focused on you, but you do also a little focus on how your partner's doing too. But when you're the coach, you're looking at 30 people,
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of eyes,
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so, out of all the responsibilities you have as an assistant, what's your favorite part? Whether it's, recruiting, like showing off moves, actually being in the corner for matches, what's your favorite part?
It's a tough one. I love all aspects of the job. I love cornering guys, but honestly, far and away, the funnest, most rewarding one is just connecting with these guys and making lifelong relationships with these kids. Helping them, achieve what they thought was unthinkable, whether that's, on the mat, in the classroom, or in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what it's all about, really. Setting the kids up, to wrestle right now, and to be successful people in life in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I say all the time, like, we're looking to build champions in life, at Bridgewater State University.
Yeah, not just on the mat, in life too.
Yeah, we want it on the mat too, but life's more important.
Yeah. So, what type of kids do you, Coach Camisa, just Bridgewater in general, look for? What type of kids do you want in your room?
We want kids that, that's a great question. We want kids who reflect our core values. So our core values are loyalty, integrity, and grit. Those three things. We want kids that are loyal people. They're loyal to their teammates. They're loyal to their family. They're loyal to their friends. We want kids who have integrity. I use, the analogy all the time, like, when you die and it's your funeral, do you want 5 people there, or do you want a line down the block with 1,000 people? That's integrity. Grit. Are you going to be able to persevere and push through? Like, college wrestling's a tough sport. We see it all the time. Kids that are high-level high school wrestlers, come into the college level and not make it. That happens all the time. You got to be able to have perseverance, have grit, and develop. College wrestling, if you're not developing at all times, you're gonna get passed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The sport's always evolving. Nowadays the rules, could be changing so often. So if you're not adjusting the game, to the new style of new rules, you're gonna get left in the dust.
Right. I think my first year was the year where they brought in the danger, and they slowly added. They added the 4-point near fall, and now last year they added the 3-point takedown, which is pretty crazy.
I mean, real quick too, kind of what was it like being, guinea pig with that, with all these new rules added during your time? A lot of adjustments.
Wrestling's wrestling. The one rule that I thought was going to be the most different as a competitor, and really wasn't, was the danger. I think when it first happened, everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be the death of scrambling." But if you're a good scrambler, you can take advantage of that danger. The 3-point air fall, I mean, it's it's just another point in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Folk style wrestling, the goal is the same thing. You take someone down, you control them, then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we talked about the kids you want at Bridgewater. What should the kids want that are coming to Bridgewater?
What would they want?
Yeah, like a kid should want blank in his school before coming to Bridgewater.
Family atmosphere / brother. I think that's what we do an extremely good job of, is having such a great culture with the kids, with the alumni, with the coaches.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys what do you guys do to keep that brotherhood intact? Have a bunch of family outings, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we have we have an NCAA watch party every single year. with some alumni, with the guys on the team. We do, Christmas party with the guys. We'll take them to laser tag. We do a lot of events. We just had a banquet. We just had probably one of our biggest banquets ever. We were setting up, and we were actually a table too short, so we had to find extra tables. We were able to get our Mount Rushmore of Bridgewater State wrestlers to come down and hand out the awards this year to the kids, which is pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of moving into next year already. What can you say some words on this upcoming recruiting class that you got coming in?
Yeah. I'll say some words. Definitely. It's probably one of our biggest. I think we're upwards of about 20 guys. I won't name specific guys. I'll let my competitors kind of have to guess. But we have 2 state champions coming in. We have, in addition to that, we have 4 state finalists, and we have a New Jersey state qualifier. We did a really, really good job this year of kind of getting back to our roots and really putting the time in to recruit guys all over the state. We had a coach at every state tournament this year, Division 1, 2, and 3. We were at all states. We were at countless tournaments this year, recruiting. Because at the end of the day, Massachusetts is our base. But then on the other hand, we did a really good job this year of recruiting out of the state as well.
How did, if you don't mind me asking, how did you manage to get that New Jersey kid?
So we actually it's funny, we got 3 of them. They're from the same high school, and had an alum who coaches them.
Oh, there's your in.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. The success our alumni have in coaching. I mean, we have so many coaches throughout the state.
Tim Waller.
Yep. Right. So I'll name a couple too. I'll name a couple right now who are, in my opinion, the 2 best high school coaches in New England right now. And that's Tim Lawler from Haverhill. He just won all states. He's been killing it. And then Zach Bates from Northfield Mountain. Yep, Zach Bates was an alum. So that's another thing too. Like if you want to wrestle, but then you want to coach after, we're the spot for sure. That's one of our unique things. That and the UFC, believe it or not, we have it's kind of crazy. We have really good success with guys making the UFC. We had Pat Walsh about 10 years ago make the Ultimate Fighter. We had Jimmy Quinlan, who was on our Mount Rushmore, I guess, of Bridgewater State wrestlers, make the UFC. And then Coach Camisa, believe it or not, was
he's got a career, right?
Yeah. So he cornered Mike Rodriguez and Joe Lozon for multiple fights in the UFC. So it's crazy. He's got endless stories. He's got gloves and tickets and all this stuff. Like it's insane. He's met Dana like 10 times. He's met Rogan. He's met it's pretty cool. Yeah. We have another alum, Andrew Valdino, who's undefeated in pro right now. It's only a matter of time before he gets to call up. So that's another thing too, like that we have a really good track for is if you want to fight MMA, we're the program to set you up if you want to do that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it with Camisa, as the head coach, all these alumni, and with there's a bunch of New England wrestlers, like Billy Goff from Connecticut, fights this Saturday. From, I think he went to Milford, had a couple fights in the UFC.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's when my senior year wrapped up, my season, like a week after my season, I'd known Joe Lozon, because he'd come in to watch practice or whatever a couple times in college. But I get a Facebook message, like literally like the week after my senior year, and it's from Joe. And I get a text from Camisa being like, "Hey, Joe's fighting Cowboy Cerrone. I'm going to be training him. What do you think about being a body for him?" So yeah, it was pretty cool leading up to both times he was supposed to fight Cowboy. I was able to come in, train with Joe be a body and see like kind of the inside of like how a UFC, like a high level UFC camp works, and just the preparation and all the stuff that goes in from how a UFC Hall of Famer trains. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. You're part of an actual like fight camp.
Yeah. Luckily, he didn't put on the pads and hit me. He just
you guys just grappled, just wrestled.
Yeah, he grappled and wrist locked me 1,000 times.
You take him down?
Is he gonna be watching this? Yeah, took him down if he is. No, he's for someone who's never wrestled, man. He can go with anybody. It's insane. Back to our recruiting class. One thing I love to highlight with this group coming in is like I said, 2 state champions, 4 state finalists, but just like the overall GPA of these kids is insane. I think we have like 4 or 5 kids that have above 4.0s. It just shows like what type of kids are attracted to this school. The Wall Street Journal just ranked Bridgewater in the top 17th percentile of all the schools in the country for academics. And we beat out some real high level prestigious schools. I won't name the schools in the region we beat out, but a couple local prestigious schools that we beat out were Tufts, Bentley. They also found out that if you come to Bridgewater, you're able to pay off your debt in an average of 2 to 3 years. So competitors don't want to admit it, but we're a prestigious school at an affordable price.
That's in today's society, that's definitely something worth looking at.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have President Clark, president of Bridgewater State, is extremely invested about aggressively growing Bridgewater. Just as we as a staff are extremely aggressive about taking this program to the next level. Our goal as a staff is to have Bridgewater wrestling be the gold standard of college wrestling in the state of Massachusetts, and there's no reason we can't make that happen. And that's what we're striving to do here.
Awesome. So kind of my last question, is about you, for you, Fox. You're a young coach. Could you see yourself, in 10 years having your own program, or are you more focused on the now?
I'm really focused on the now. We have one of the youngest staffs in the region. Coach Camisa's 36. I'm 26. Coach Morales is 25. And then our director of operations, Jennifer Hughes, my girlfriend, is 26. So we have a young staff. We have like a staff that's extremely invested in growing this program. And,
you're young, you're going to be around for a long time.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, that's one thing we keep talking about is we have a long runway, between the 4 of us to really see, like I said, our vision of making Bridgewater wrestling the gold standard in Massachusetts and New England. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, I'm focused on helping Coach Camisa in any way necessary I can to achieve our goals.
Awesome, dude. Well, Fox, is there anything else you want to talk about or touch on?
I think that's it. I appreciate you having me on. This was awesome. What's next for you, I guess?
Dude, I got the freestyle duels June 1st, man. Send it to the team.
All right. Well, hey, anytime you want to come down to Bridgewater, check out a practice, see what we're about. You're always welcome.